Hey, 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 good morning. I wanted to come and talk to you today about the power of no and why it's so important that we each learn that it's not a horrible word and that it's okay to use it and it's okay to say no to things. I want to share some examples of my own experiences and what happened when I didn't say no and how it impacted my life. And so for me, I spent a lot of years people pleasing, and I people pleased from the time I was a little kid, 3 years old, when I started getting molested, all the way until about a year ago. and um, I I look back and I'm like, wow, I really struggled with the word no. I struggled hearing it. I struggled receiving it. I struggled saying it. And I struggled with sticking to whatever I had said no to. Um, and so why did I do those things and like what changed for me? So I was a people pleaser and I didn't like confrontation. So for me, being abused and being in trauma for 37 years, I just really felt like it was easier to just say yes to people and to just agree, and then to just help them out. I would put myself last. I wouldn't do self care. I wouldn't get enough sleep. I would literally exhaust myself to the point where I was so like stressed out to where my body would just shut down. And I didn't realize how unhealthy that was. I didn't realize how stagnant my life had become because I had been people pleasing so much. I hadn't focused on my own dreams, my own desires, my goals. And it was hindering like my relationships, my family, our livelihood, our finances, our day to day. And so um I sat down with my husband and I started asking, him some important questions, and he was truthful with me. That's one person that I gave him full permission when I started my online business, my network marketing business, December of 2019. I told him that I wanted to give him full permission to be completely honest with me at all times because I needed someone who's seen me in my day to day to make sure that I wasn't falling down some rabbit hole or I was doing the things to keep us on track to hit goals that we want to hit. And just somebody who was going to be honest with me about situations that sometimes I had a hard time being honest with myself. And that was those situations where people would take advantage of my time. They would take advantage of my skills. They would take advantage of my ability to be a hard worker. And they would use that for their gain, and I would be the one losing. And I really did lose a lot throughout this journey, but I'm grateful that I lost what I lost because obviously God knew it wasn't for me. And if it was for me, I would have had it. And so I really look at everything as like, oh man, I lost that. I look at it as what a lesson and what a blessing. And so when I think about the power of no, I think about this. So when I'm offering my business or my products to somebody, I want to ask them. It's my responsibility and my part of my job description is to ask them. And then their responsibility and what is for them and why it's so important that I ask them is because I deserve to hear a no. They deserve to say a no. And I deserve to receive the no and accept that as just a not right now. What I've learned with no is that sometimes it's a definite no. And you feel when it's a definite no. And then there's other times where it's just a not right now. It's just not the right timing for somebody, or it's not the right season. And I tell my children all the time, um, that a no is not necessarily a forever no. It's just a not right now. And I think that if we can understand and respect that about each other, it makes things like it makes the blow of the rejection from the no, because that's what it is that you're feeling is the rejection. It's not necessarily the no, it's the rejection that we're feeling. It's the rejection that hurts probably the most. And so when we're getting the not right, the no's, and we tell ourselves it's a not right now, it doesn't mean it's forever. I've had people tell me no, I don't know, 17 plus times about wanting to join the business with me and be a business partner. And then, 6 months down the road, a year down the road, 2 years down the road, shoot, 3 years down the road, they become my business partner or they become a customer. Like, you don't know what season somebody is in and what the timing is for them or the reasoning. And so it's not your job to judge somebody. It's just your job to ask them. It's your job to be receptive of their answer and respect their answer. I think so many people throw fits. I mean, I could be wrong, but I've seen it a lot of times. People throw fits and get really upset and quit trying and quit asking people because somebody told them no. And it's so wild to me because I hear no pretty often in my day, but I'm almost like, it's like chasing the nose, like you can chase those no's and you can be, like excited that you have, so many people told you no today. And it's like flipping your script when you can get excited about it because you know your yes is coming. It's one thing that I have learned is that so many no's will equal a yes. Somebody will say yes, but are you asking enough people? Are you talking to enough people? Are you opening yourself up? And this is every area of your life, not just in a business, not just financially, like in every area of your life. Are you opening yourself up to receive the yeses? I think that's the other thing that we forget is that if we're not receptive to the yeses and we're automatically thinking inside of our head, they're going to say no. I can guarantee you 99.7% they're going to say no. That little 0.3%, they might still say yes. But most generally, if we're thinking a thought, that thought is going to come to fruition. And so if you're sitting there doubting what you have to offer somebody, or doubting the conversation that you're in, or doubting the truth that you're sharing, they're going to feel that energy. So a lot of the times the no's will come because people feel the energy of the no that you're putting out there. And so it's so, so important that you think about your thoughts and your feelings are the most important thing that you can treasure in your entire being, right? Your heart too, your thoughts and your feelings, because your heart is your magnet. Like it's going to tell you all those feelings and emotions. People tell us to shut off our feelings. They tell us that we're too emotional. They tell us that, we shouldn't use our feelings. I'm going to tell you those gut feelings that you're feeling that just feel off, that just don't feel great. Those are important to pay attention to. Those are signals. Those are not just fear kicking in to kick you out so that you don't win. Those are signals that you're not on the right path for your dreams and goals. Um, they're signs. And so I was just literally reading something last night. Let me see if I can find it. It says when something doesn't align with your spirit, a feeling will poke at you, almost like a nuisance that you can't seem to shrug off. If it feels wrong repetitively without inducing fear, take it as a sign to stay away. How many of us don't think about that? We think that, because internally we're internalizing that no, and we're so dead set that everybody's going to say no because we don't believe deep down we don't have the belief in ourselves or in what we're offering, that it just every no comes at our corner. And so um I want you to think about, what is your mindset like? So what are you saying to yourself? Like, what are the things that you're all the time? And so maybe you need to get a piece of paper and a pencil and write down your thoughts. Be truthful. So I want to share with you what a poor mindset, things that a poor mindset can do, and then things that a rich mindset can do. So poor mindset misses the old days and fears of missing out. So FOMO, a poor mindset has fear of missing out. A poor mindset thinks riches are evil. So like money is the root of all evil, and you think that it's just like everybody who has it is bad. Like that's why you don't have it. Like it's a poor mindset. You complain constantly. If you have a poor mindset, you're going to do a lot of complaining, a lot of negative complaining about anything and everything you can pick your hands up on, and never likes to learn. You literally say, I don't need to know that. I already know that. I already learned that in school, blah, blah, blah. You don't like to be repetitive learning, and repetition is key. Just so you know, if you're doing something repetitively, you're going to know and be damn good at it. Um, Afraid of investing. A poor mindset is afraid of putting some skin in the game. They're afraid of investing into what it is that they're offering, what it is that they're wanting. If they have dreams and goals, they just want it to magically happen. And they just think that they can hope and wish and it will come, but they don't want to put any skin in the game and actually invest in themselves. And then fears change. A poor mindset usually struggles with change. Now, I'm going to tell you, I had all of these at one point. I did every single thing on that list. That's how I know that that is facts, because I had a poor mindset for a really long time. Now, a healthy or a rich mindset. They live in the present while preparing, themselves for the future, right? They live in the present and they live in the knowing that everything that's coming is already here. They learn from their mistakes. A rich mindset learns from the things that they messed up on or the things that they watched someone else experience, and so they learn from mistakes. um I actually had my spouse, I said something, we were having a conversation, and I told Sean, I said, I really was that person who made the mistakes so that like my older kids and my nieces and nephews, I guess, could see it. Like I screwed up a lot. I made a lot of mistakes growing up and getting older, and I look back now and what lessons I learned, right? The life experiences I get to share with you guys today are because I made a lot of mistakes and I learned from them. But he was saying that the way he learned was a little different. And my 23-year-old, I feel like they learned this way too, was they watched the people make the mistakes, and they were like, and those experiences from watching other people, they were like, oh, I don't want to make that mistake. I'm going to learn from them. And so there's several ways you can learn from mistakes. You can learn from yourself and your own mistakes, or you can learn from watching other people and seeing life experiences from other people and learn from that. Um, a rich mindset also helps other people succeed. So they're not just focused on their success, but they're focused on raising the tides and bringing everybody with them, and others succeeding too. And we want to help them, and we literally don't just help them when it's convenient for us. We help them when we help them when they need help. Um, a rich mindset also doesn't complain. And so if you're somebody, like I said, who does a lot of complaining, you really need to think about your mindset, because I used to have to do no stinking thinking, and it's literally our founder of our company that I'm with. He named it in 2020, March of 2020, and I've been doing it since then. And it's for every negative word, you say 3 to 5 positive words. And so if I say, I'm fat, then I now am going to discuss, 5 things as to how beautiful I am and how much I love, my figure, and how much I'm so grateful that, for these mom curves, and how I'm so grateful that I have products to help take off the extra pounds I don't want, how I get to choose to work on myself every day and I get paid to take care of myself. Like, how much of a blessing is that? So I start speaking life over myself instead of death. And so that helps that complaining, because that's a rewiring of the brain. Constantly learning. A rich mindset loves to learn and really wants to learn, which means that it's repetitive motion. Um, and we enjoy it. And so I always take an hour to 2 hours out of my day to do some sort of learning. I have a mindset coach, and so she has, classes that we do, and there's worksheets. And so I work on those. I work on the things I'm, doing with my business. Like, there's things I do to constantly learn to be the best at what I do. Um, Quits bad habits. A rich mindset, we are not afraid to quit the bad habits. We will find ways to eliminate them. And we will research ways to flip the script to change that habit. And so I love this. I have a couple of different books that I've used. And I don't want to say the names just because I don't remember their authors correctly and I don't want to get them wrong. Um, but they're amazing and they really work on stacking those habits and building those habits so that they're lifelong habits. And if you want that, just shoot me a comment and I'll get it to you. I'll get you the link. But it's just that, like, what a blessing it is to know that I get to the habits that I was like developed over a lifetime that weren't so healthy. I can break those habits. I don't have to live with those. And a lot of people feel like they have to live with those. And it's just, it is what it is. I am who I am. But that's false. That's like just you're lying to yourself and you're in your own reality. You're not in the real truth reality because real truth reality would tell you that you can break any bad habit that you have. Everybody is capable, in my opinion. And I think that those who choose not to, literally are just choosing not to. It is a decision, and they're not willing to work at it. They're not willing to practice the new habits. Um, a rich mindset takes action. A rich mindset, we don't just sit around and be afraid of change or be stagnant or be afraid or flight, freeze. We don't do all those things. We just take action. We're like, yeah, let's go. I think that's so important with a rich mindset and with believing you have a rich mindset that you understand action is just so important because you can have the dream, you can have all the things, but without a rich mindset and taking the action, you're going to just stay in the same hamster wheel, the same hamster wheel. And so no's like come with these things. And so if you have a poor mindset, it's going to be so hard to hear those no's. But if you have a healthy mindset, a rich mindset, um, then it's going to help you develop being able to hear those no's and be able to say those no's. Um, I always tell people if you have time to feel like shit and complain and check social media, then you have time to meditate. You have time to write in your journal. You have time to create a list of goals. You have time to make a list of things that you are grateful for, and you have time to better yourself. So that's something you got to really keep in mind is if you have the time to complain and feel like shit, and you have the time to be on social media and dropping a bunch of garbage and complaining and griping, you definitely have time to do those other things. You just need to just take the crap that you're putting out there and flip it to the good stuff. Start sharing your journal entries, sharing your goals, sharing how grateful you are with other people. Lifting and doing things to better yourself and others is how we change. We fear it the most. We're afraid we can't do it. And you have to understand that we can. We are strong beings. We have the gifts that are already inside of us. It's just that we've been conditioned in environments and in lifestyles so long that we think that that's just who we are, but that's not who you are. At the end of the day, you decide who you are. And if you choose to be that shitty person, then that's on you. Like you're choosing that. You can't blame anybody else for your choices in that. And you're going to push people away and nobody's going to want to be around you. I'm just speaking truth, whether this hurts your feelings or not. This is your opportunity to change. You will run people away. You will lose relationships. You will lose business partners. You will lose financial opportunities. You will lose things that you have desired and wanted, but you have such a poor mindset that you don't even see it, right? You're thinking you're blaming everybody else. You're constantly criticizing someone else or judging someone else, but you're not even, you got to look at the skeletons in your closet. Like look at you. And I think that so many people are afraid to open their own closet and look inside and take inventory because it's easier to open somebody else's door and open their closet and take inventory on them. But when we have to take the inventory on ourselves, like get out a piece of paper and write down the things that you love about yourself. How many of those are negative and how many are positive? Any negative ones, how can you change them to positive? Then make a list of things you want to improve in yourself and your day to day in your life and yourself and who you are. Now start brainstorming ways you can start improving those, and then you can start working on them one at a time. And you can start understanding that you get to rewrite your story. Like, you get the pen and paper now. Like, as a child, so many things came into our world that we didn't have control over. But now you're an adult and you don't have to use those things as an excuses to not have control over them and to take control of them and to take responsibility. Um, the other thing I just read, it said the universe will softly tell you that something isn't good, isn't a good fit for you. People, places, ideologies, careers, social circles. It will gradually turn up the volume until you hear it. Eventually, if you continue to refuse to listen, it will violently remove you. I experienced this. Um, I experienced this just this year. I was staying places where they did no longer served me in all areas of my life. I had people in my life that were toxic, that had no desires to change. They were who they were, and they were not going to change, and it was making me cringe, right? It was making my freaking skin crawl to just go through my social media and go to interact on my business page, and these people's posts would come up and they would just be so toxic and so just not aligned with me, not aligned with my goals, right? I would go places and I wouldn't feel right about the situation, and then something would go wrong. Okay. For example, last year in September, I went to Texas. We just had our event called Green Carpet with our company just this last week on Saturday, actually, just Saturday. And I went to the in person last year. And the whole time I was there, I had this feeling. Okay. I had this feeling that something just didn't fit for me. And I felt it. And in the room, when you're in the room with thousands of people and you still feel alone, and you still feel like you just don't fit in that room, and you're questioning yourself why, because in January at a similar event you felt comfortable and you fit in the room, but now here you are at a different event and you don't feel comfortable sitting in the same room with people. And so a lot had changed from that January event to that September event. And so that's a lot of time for a lot of change to appear. And I wasn't in the loop with the people that were there and felt like an outsider. And it's crazy because I've worked with a lot of these people for a long time, and it's no offense to them. It was all my energy that was feeling this. I don't know if theirs was. I have never discussed it with anybody. Um, but it was because I wasn't socially aligned with the right circle for me. Yes, some of those people could very much, we could be in the same circle, but some of them no. And that was just my truth, because I was working on certain parts and areas of my life to better them, while a lot of people were still staying stuck where they were. And so a lot of conversations led to dead end conversations. I didn't feel like I could even have the conversations I wanted to have with people, because just we're not on the same level. We're not on the same vibe. And there were times when I just would listen and I would hear things and I would just be like, yeah, something is just feels off. And I know I'm not the only one there that felt that way, because I could read the room. Um, but when I addressed a concern, because we were asked questions and I addressed a concern I was having, it got completely twisted, I feel like. And when it twisted, it became a negative on my part for speaking up and speaking out. And it backfired for me because I basically could feel the shift in the room. I could feel the shift in our team. I could in leadership. I could feel the shift in every area of my life when it was coming to those specific people and situations. And I had to make some tough decisions. And the no's were some of those decisions that came. Um, my social media platforms were completely removed. So, two of them, not all of them, but two of my main accounts that I did most of my work on. Um, and I know why, and I'm not afraid of why now, but before I was pretty upset. Um, I didn't just lose one, I lost like three, six accounts total. I'm just doing the math. I lost six accounts total. Um, it had a lot of my potentials on there. And and so what I learned was that the people that are meant for me will come back. Those who are not meant for me will not return, and that's okay. But those who are meant for me will come back. They will reach out to me in some way, shape, or form. I literally had people that were like texting me and calling my daughter, calling my mom, calling my nieces and nephews, like calling people and being like, where did she go? Is she okay? I see her page is gone. Like people that genuinely gave a crap. And so I realized in that moment who was for me and who wasn't. And what a blessing to be able to see that and acknowledge it. Um, and so that's what I think I really learned about the situation the most was how it was so cool to see the ones that were real. Um, and the ones that chose to continue to connect with me on my other platforms, the ones that have connected and checked in on me. Um, and so just thinking about those things, and I was like, everything is for me. And so if I'm getting upset that those things happened, then I'm just bringing in negative thoughts and negative feelings, right? And I don't need to do that because I truly do believe that everything is for us. And so, me losing those platforms, obviously, either I did something to break a rule or was reported or whatever, it doesn't matter. What matters is that now I get a fresh start and now it's like a mulligan, I get a do over. And I don't have to feel guilty about it. I don't have to feel any shame or guilt. I actually feel so much gratitude. And I have such a good attitude about it today because I get to choose who goes on. And I started thinking about it. And I've had those two social media accounts, I've had several of them since I left my second husband and went through the domestic violence. And so like there was like all this toxic stuff on it. There was people on there that I probably would never sit down and have coffee with. Like I'm just being truthful and transparent. Sorry if that hurts anybody's feelings. It's not my attempt. Um, take it for what it is, but it is what it is. And so I just learned that like there was a reason why that was removed from my life because it wasn't serving me. And what's crazy is like 2 months before that happened, my life coach told me, I think you don't have the right clientele, you don't have the right potentials. Like I really think that you need a new network. How hard is it to hear you need a new network when you've been building for almost 5 years, right? But it was such a breath of fresh air when it just went away and that I had no control over that. It was out of my control. And I was able to just pivot and pick up and figure it out. And I was able to do more awesome things later, anyways. Like my team is set up so that won't happen again. Like we literally implemented some awesome things and branched out and did some really cool stuff. And it just made me see that like it was my season to grow in a different area and not necessarily follow the same path as everybody else is on. And that is okay. I started writing my book. Now I'm writing two. I started working on this podcast. Like it gave me the drive I needed to not be so distracted by the social media so much, but also be focused on like what is it that I desire and want to happen? Like who do I want on my page? What kind of conversations do I want to have with people? What kind of people do I want in my circle? Who do I want to sit down and have coffee with? And then also, am I doing the things that I desire to do that literally are going to catapult me to like a future lifestyle that I want, but also bring me the people in my circle that I really, really want and desire? Because I really want good people in my circle. I want to do some amazing things in this lifetime, and I want to bring people with me. Like, I want to leave a legacy for not just myself, but other families. And so, a couple of things I want you to think about when you're hearing the word no, or you're going to be working on goals, and you might hear the word no. I want you to start your day a couple. I want to share with you how not to start your day, and then how to start your day. So, don't start your day with social media. You're talking to somebody who works on social media, but don't start your day with social media. Don't get on your phone right away. I get on my phone to tell my team, check in, good morning, and then I sit my phone down and I start my day. Um, Try not to hit the snooze button. I'm going to tell you, I've been hitting the dang snooze button, and I can feel the difference in how my day starts when I don't hit it versus when I hit it. So your goal is to try not to hit that snooze button. If you're somebody who snoozes a lot, try to work down to one snooze and then work down to none. It's habits you're learning. So if you know you snooze 3 or 4 times, be like, nope, I'm only going to snooze twice. And then from that twice, be like, okay, I'm only going to snooze once. And it's like a building it up. Okay. And you got to remind yourself. Don't start your day with negative self-talk. Negative self-talk sets up your entire day, plus everybody around you day. Everywhere you go, you are impacting everybody. So that just creates more negativity in our world, which we want less of, not more of. So no negative self-talk. Kick those habits right out. Go into the mirror, high five yourself, tell yourself how much you love you, smile real big, look like an idiot, feel really weird and goofy, and then start talking some love into yourself. Like, do what you got to do. Start jamming out to music, while you're making your coffee. Don't start your day with an unhealthy breakfast. If you're somebody who's not a breakfast eater, I understand. I used to not be, but I have a rule that by 10 a.m. I have to have my breakfast. It's just a rule I've started, and I know that if I don't do it, I feel like garbage afterwards. And so I don't necessarily eat first thing in the morning, but I do make sure I get food in me between like 9 and 10 a.m. Um, and then and the next one is, don't start your day with neglecting your hydration. So I don't know if anybody else has heard this, but if you drink 8 ounces of water every day, first thing in the morning, it balances your blood sugars, it helps with your blood pressure, it actually helps lubricate the brain and the body. And it really is incredible what it does for your hydration for the rest of the day. Am I perfect at this? No, I am getting better. This morning I did it. I did it. Um, and then start your day with, this is what I want you to start your day with. Start your day with gratitude. Get out a piece of paper and a pencil and write down 3 to 5 things. I write down 10 things. You can do that too if you want. 10 things I'm grateful for. And I say, I am so happy and grateful now that. And then I write what it is. And it could be things that have already happened. It could be things that are happening right now. It could be things that are coming on their way in the future. And so gratitude changes your attitude. We've talked about this before. Gratitude changes your attitude, which means if you're grateful, then for every single thing in your life, the air you breathe, the coffee I'm drinking, being able to do this podcast, my family, imagine something not being there tomorrow because you weren't grateful for it. So be grateful for every single thing. Um, and so you can list a few things. I'm grateful that I am working on myself. I'm grateful that I have this career. I'm grateful that I have a supportive family, a healthy family. Like, there's just so much to be grateful for. And so you can just kind of, and say these things throughout your day. Like, after you write them down, don't just leave them. You catch yourself being negative, go back to that gratitude journal and reread those gratitude journals, entries that you wrote, and catch yourself, change it to a positive. Start your day with a big glass of water. We talked about that. At least 8 ounces of water first thing in the morning is going to be a complete game changer. And I like to get a minimum of 64 ounces. I shoot for 100 ounces for myself personally. But it's, I believe, half your body weight in ounces for water. So just, kind of give you an idea. But I also think that you should do some sort of physical exercise. It's getting up, moving around, lubricating your body, getting things working, kind of like moving the machine. The water is the oil that you're going to get the machine to start, loosening up and lubricating it. And so it can be stretches, it could be yoga, it could be a cute, brief little walk. It could be just going outside and getting some fresh air and getting some movement in. Water your plants. Like there's things that you can do. Get a hot shower and stretch in the shower. You'd be amazed how good you'll feel with just doing something, getting some sort of movement. They're not asking for a lot, 10 to 20 minutes in the morning time. I always shoot for 15. It's just a happy number. If I can get 15 minutes of some sort of stretching, moving, and warming up a little bit, I feel better. Sunlight exposure, vitamin D is so important. I don't know if anybody knows a lot about vitamin D, but when my 23-year-old was 15, they almost died. Um, they almost died, and what happened was their body was low on vitamin D, and come to find out they don't really absorb it from the sun as well because they wear a lot of clothing to block the sun out, let's just be honest. And And not only that, they had a rare disease we didn't know about, and it actually hinders them from getting that things to absorb, like iron and vitamin D and things of that nature, like certain vitamins and minerals. And so we take vitamin D supplements. And so sun exposure, it's so important to go out and get that fresh air and that sunshine. I don't know about anybody else, but living in Oregon, we only get a few we only get a few things of sunshine throughout the year. And then, in the summer we still have rain. In the summer we still have clouds. Like, so when you get the sunshine, you take advantage of it, right? That sunlight exposure, just getting outside. But if you can't get it, definitely invest in vitamin D. I know that it just is so effective. It helps with your mental health. The reason why they almost died from being low on vitamin D is because they got what's called dysthymia, and dysthymia is actually below depression. And when you don't have enough vitamin D in your system, now I'm not a doctor. I've just learned this from mom experiences and from listening to the doctors and the psychologists and like all the medical professionals. Lord, no, we've been to enough of them. And um and they said that when you don't get enough vitamin D or enough sun exposure to get that vitamin D to come into your body goes into depression. That's why a lot of people have winter depression. And that winter depression, that's what causes a lot of mental health issues for a lot of people. Causes depression, anxiety. The list adds up, right? But what can happen if you actually go below depression and you hit that below that I didn't know there was a stage below depression, to be honest with you. I had no idea. But it's called dysthymia. And dysthymia is created when your levels are so low that it's near death. And that's where my child was. And it was one of the scariest moments of our lives because we had to do 10,000 IUs of vitamin D for a long time to get their levels up. And we still have to take vitamin D3. And we're 8 years later. And so almost 9 years later. And so you just never know someone's body. And so if you're struggling with depression, or any kind of mental health, make sure you're getting your blood drawn, and it's a blood draw that checks your vitamin D levels. Vitamin B12 is another one. So there's just so important to have those vitamins and minerals checked to make sure you're not deficient in something, because that can actually hinder you in getting that exposure that you need for your body to get what it needs. And so I hope that helps somebody, because I know sunlight exposure is such a massive thing, but I also know a lot of people don't get a lot of sun just because of where they live. Um, the next thing you should start your day with is intentions for the day. So I always make a list of 4 to 6 things that I want to accomplish in the day, and I check them off as I go. And it makes me feel good about checking them off. I have a little note on my phone and I just check them off. And as I check them off, I'm being intentional. And so um that really does help. I mean, it really made a difference. And so I definitely, the intention, when you're intentional with everything, things naturally come. And so that's something to think about. So if you're talking to people and you keep hearing these no's, what is the intention that you've been putting out? Like what kind of intention have you been doing? And I think that does make a difference. And so just know that no's are important and they're okay to have. And it's okay to have setbacks. It's okay to feel like, oh man, this is not going how I want it. But when you're feeling that way, don't just sit in that moment. Get out of that moment and pick yourself up, go outside, get some fresh air, go for a walk, like go for a little stroll. It doesn't have to be long. And remind yourself that you're learning. Remind yourself that this is all new for you and there's no wrong way or perfect way to do it either. Because I think so many of us get caught up in it being like a specific way, or we have to have perfection, or it has to look like it has to look good for everybody else. I am here to tell you that that is so false. That is like beyond false because that's part of us self-sabotaging the things that we want to please other people, right? People please. What do you want? If someone says no to you, be grateful because there's a reason why that no is there. There's a reason why they didn't join you. There's a reason why they didn't come with you. There's a reason why they're not doing life with you. Like there's nothing wrong with that. You do not need to be set back by that. Instead, God is setting you up. I truly believe that setbacks are set ups by him because we think what we would think would be something that would just make it to where it'd be harder or it would set us back. He's actually reminding us that no, that wasn't good for you and it wasn't going to serve what I have planned for you. And so I am setting you up. And so, what setup do you want God to do for you today? That's really what um, the biggest question that I could ask you is if you feel like you're having a setback, what do you think the setup's going to be? What do you think the changes that you need to make are? And are you willing to change and make those changes so that you can feel successful, so that you can feel the love and the self-care and do the self-care and feel the love inside yourself and so that you can be your best, the best that you have ever seen. Like I will promise you, and I will tell you today that I not once thought I would be the person I am today. And I love her through and through. And I'm so grateful for her strength and for her courage and for her not willing to quit on all the different experiences she's gone through. She's had so many opportunities to throw in the towel and to quit, but instead she's continued to keep going and she's continued to work on herself. And I'm just so grateful for her. And so I think of my future self all the time. And how would she handle things? How would she take care of this business? How would she talk to people? How would she go after her goals? Like, what kind of actions would she take? I don't think about who I am today because if I use who I am today for motivation, I'm not going to get anywhere because who I am today is not my true self. But she, my future version of myself, she is who I am striving to become. And so by me working on what aligns with her, it's helping me develop this image of myself that is so much healthier and so much happier, that is so much more successful, that really truly does desire some really great things. And she's not afraid to go after them. And she's not going to let anybody hold her back or anything hold her back. And I think that was the future version of myself that I needed to latch onto, but I was scared to for so many years because I was afraid of what other people would think if I leveled up and became this really awesome, great person and was the best at what I do. But you're always going to have critics. So why are you choosing to become your own worst critic like I did for so many years when you can be your biggest hero and your biggest fan? And so that's the script that I made was I became my hero. I became my hero. My future self 10 years from now is my hero. She is my hero. I strive to be like her, not anybody else, but like her. And then I don't have to worry about the critics or what anybody else says because it doesn't matter because I know what she's going to say. I know what she's going to do. And I really truly think that the no's are all for us. They're all for us. And so embrace the no's, love yourself through the journey. Thank people when they tell you no. Thank them so much and tell them to have a blessed day. And just love them unconditionally for their choices because guess what? They probably had to work really hard at learning to say that no too. And so no's don't come easy to everybody, just so you know. It just does not. And so it's just so important to just love people through the process. I hope this helps somebody. Have an amazing, amazing day.